JOJO Siwa is 100% not staged, and the proof is in this grainy, tear-streaked photo that just detonated online. Her ex KATH is abandoned, Chris Hughes is speechless, and fans are screaming. She gaslit everyone. The tropical paradise of an exclusive, adults-only Mexican resort became ground zero for a celebrity scandal when JOJO Siwa and Chris Hughes were captured in a compromising embrace. Grainy photos published by The Sun showed the celebrity Big Brother UK stars locked in a passionate kiss on a pool floatie, with JOJO straddling Chris as he held a drink. This wasn't a stolen peck. Onlookers described them as very loved up, snogging openly in front of other guests and constantly holding hands throughout their getaway. They resembled a giddy couple in the early throes of love. The intimate setting, far removed from JOJO's signature rainbow bright, family-friendly persona, amplified the shock value of the images. The fallout and KATH's heartbreak. This romantic display occurred shortly after JOJO's messy split from her Australian partner, KATH. KATH had previously revealed the painful details of their breakup, which occurred during the celebrity Big Brother wrap party. They stated, "I flew across the world to support and be there, and instead, I was dumped at the after-party, with Chris Hughes in the next room, seemingly oblivious to the world." Adding insult to injury, while KATH felt abandoned and publicly humiliated, JOJO and Chris were photographed cuddling in the resort breakfast room and sharing a couch, looking blissfully content. KATH later suggested JOJO's intense bond with Chris constituted emotional cheating and a betrayal of relationship boundaries played out on national TV. Awkward denials and emotional turmoil. Despite the damning visual evidence, the pair initially stuck to their just friends script. Chris became visibly flustered during interviews, stumbling over words when asked to define their relationship. "Yeah, I would struggle to describe it. Oh, why am I speechless? What is going on? God." JOJO, meanwhile, experienced intense emotional swings. She admitted to crying while watching nostalgic TikTok clips of her time with Chris in the Big Brother house, overwhelmed by missing him. Her tears intensified when he departed after visiting her in Mexico, captured in a moment where she was visibly crying behind sunglasses. His emotional volatility stood in stark contrast to her claims of simple friendship, family integration, and shifting labels. Significantly, Chris wasn't just vacationing with JOJO. Her family was present, marking a major step. Photos showed them interacting warmly, and Chris even shared images with JOJO's parents on social media. JOJO later emotionally shared that her parents think the absolute world of him, with her mother happier than she'd ever seen her watching them together. This family acceptance further fueled speculation that this was far more than a fling. It also coincided with JOJO's public shift in her sexual identity label. During her CBB stay, she announced she no longer identified as a lesbian but as queer, citing the isolation of the house for giving her clarity. This personal evolution provided context, though not absolution, for the speed and nature of her new connection with Chris amidst her breakup. The Mexico trip served as a chaotic, emotional catalyst. What began with defiant denials, "It is platonic," culminated just days later in a full, tearful confirmation. JOJO declared herself head over heels for Chris, admitting, "It's not platonic anymore, and it's been a beautiful development." The grainy pool photos and KATH's heartbreak weren't just tabloid fodder. They were the explosive prologue to JOJO Siwa's latest, deeply public reinvention. JOJO erased her LGBTQ+ anthem for Chris, rewriting Betty Davis' eyes as Chris Hughes' eyes on stage. Fans swooned. Then came the sunglasses moment. JOJO sobbed when Chris flew back to the UK. Her tears coming from under the sunglasses. KATH's reaction? "I was dumped and abandoned." The unraveling, JOJO Siwa's contradictions, and the fallout of a platonic myth. The foundation of JOJO Siwa and Chris Hughes' relationship was built on a single, repeated claim: "It is platonic." This phrase became their shield during interviews and public appearances, deployed to deflect romance rumors despite mounting evidence to the contrary. Chris's flustered explanation during the celebrity Big Brother UK finale epitomized this dissonance. Visibly struggling to articulate their bond, He stammered through vague adjectives before landing on the safety of friendship, insisting their physical affection was merely being kids and that JoJo was his pure rock, a comforting, sibling-like presence. His assertion that their connection was only platonic felt increasingly strained against the backdrop of their shared intimacy, both inside and outside the house. Meanwhile, JoJo's language painted a starkly different picture. While standing beside Chris on that same finale stage, she publicly declared him a vital part of my life that I didn't know was missing, framing his presence as profoundly transformative and essential. This wasn't the language of casual friendship. It spoke to emotional fulfillment and deep-seated need. She doubled down in later appearances, calling him a keeper whom she intended to keep around, openly speculating about his potential as a tremendous father to her future children. The disconnect between Chris's platonic insistence and JoJo's emotionally charged, future-oriented declarations created a confusing narrative that audiences instantly questioned. Was this genuine confusion, or a calculated strategy to manage public perception? The breaking point arrived with KATH's devastating revelation. Having flown internationally to support JoJo during the intense CBB experience, KATH found themselves shockingly discarded at the wrap party. Their poignant statement, "I flew across the world to support and be there, and instead, I was dumped at the after-party with Chris Hughes in the next room," landed like a bombshell. It wasn't just the heartbreak of the breakup, it was the brutal timing and location, juxtaposed with JoJo's immediate, visible pivot to Chris. KATH's words exposed a painful timeline suggesting emotional overlap, if not outright betrayal, making JoJo and Chris's continued, just friends, protestations ring hollow and insensitive. The implication of being replaced so publicly and swiftly added a layer of cruelty to the narrative. Fan perceptions swiftly shifted from speculation to condemnation. As photos emerged from their adults-only Mexican resort getaway, showing passionate kisses, intimate pool embraces, and JoJo perched possessively on Chris's lap, the platonic facade crumbled entirely. The visual evidence was undeniable. This, combined with JoJo's on-stage lyric change, serenading Chris with Chris Hughes' eyes instead of Betty Davis eyes, and her tearful farewell when he left Mexico, cemented the reality of a romantic relationship for the public. Fans, feeling misled, flooded social media with accusations. "You cheated," pointing to the KATH breakup timeline and immediate coupling with Chris. "You lied," calling out the repeated denials directly contradicted by their actions and JoJo's own emotionally charged language. Gaslighting KATH, accusing JoJo of manipulating the narrative to avoid accountability for the hurt caused. Gaslighting us. Fans felt deliberately strung along by denials that now seemed blatantly false given the evidence. The core of the gaslighting accusation lies in the sustained denial of reality. By persistently labeling intensely romantic behaviors, kissing, intimate getaways, profound emotional declarations, family integration as platonic, JoJo and Chris created a disconnect between their lived experience and the story they sold to the public and, potentially, to KATH. This dissonance left KATH feeling invalidated and confused, abandoned and alone, and left fans feeling manipulated. The eventual hard launch of their relationship via cozy Instagram photos, coming after months of strenuous denial and KATH's pain being made public, felt less like a celebration and more like an admission that the platonic narrative was unsustainable. The fallout wasn't just about a new relationship. It was about the erosion of trust through contradictory words, actions, and the perceived dismissal of genuine hurt. The tears, the lyrics, the secret messages in the CBB house, and the Mexican embraces told the true story long before their PR strategy allowed them to admit it.